Hey guys, Emmanuel here, and before we jump into the video, I just want to ask you guys to subscribe to the channel and leave a like for the algorithm. I'm going to give you guys a second to do that. Okay, now that that's over, Kevin Durant still hasn't been traded yet his trade request is still making headlines all over the NBA world. So word on the street now is that the NBA world doesn't want Kevin Durant to be traded. And by the NBA world, I mean NBA executives, NBA GMs, and most importantly, the NBA commissioner, Adam Silver. Now, Adam Silver even came out and he spoke about this. He said, this is what he said about the Kevin Durant trade request situation. He said that we don't like to see players requesting trades and we don't like to see it playing out the way that it is. He continued to say this: look, this needs to be a two-way street. Teams provide enormous security and guarantees to players, and the expectation is in return they'll meet the end of their bargain. Adam Silver at the governor's meeting in Las Vegas on July 12th said that the trade request looks bad for the league. Now, I completely agree with Adam Silver. Now, I want Kevin Durant traded as much as the next guy. Particularly, I want him to be traded to the Toronto Raptors. But I have to agree with Adam Silver on this situation. Kevin Durant requesting a trade in this manner looks bad for the league. It looks terrible for the league. There are also talks that NBA GMs around the league and executives have been in talks with the general manager of the Brooklyn Nets, Sean Marks, and they've been telling him not to trade Kevin Durant because they don't want him to set a dangerous precedent for the future of the NBA, a future in which players get to do whatever they want, right? Whenever players hit a bump in the road or reach hard times, they can just opt out and leave whenever they want. They don't want that kind of future. So they've been telling him, listen, don't trade Kevin Durant. You don't need to trade Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant still has 4 years left on this contract. There's no reason to move him. In fact, you still have Kyrie Irving on your team. So they just don't want Kevin Durant to set this dangerous precedent. And I think that is fair. That is a fair critique of this trade request. GMs don't want that, right? They don't want a playing field in which the players have all the power. The league has been becoming more and more of a player-friendly league, right? When you compare it to other leagues like the NFL, the MLB, well, maybe not the MLB. The MLB has the strongest union in all of sports. But other sports league, the NBA is extremely player-friendly. That's why LeBron can be super woke and have whatever political opinions he wants to be. Yet when, Colin Kaepernick does anything on the NFL level, he's banned forever. When you contrast that, the players are becoming more and more powerful, and NBA executives don't like that. And look, I'm all up for player mobility. I love when players exercise their right to take their talents and market it to the highest bidder. I'm in favor of it when it is warranted. I'm in favor of it in free agency. That's what free agency is for. Free agency is fair game. It's a market, right? And that's what players have done in the past. That's what players like Lebron James, who arguably started this whole player mobility, player empowerment thing the first time he decided to leave and go to the Miami Heat all the way in 2010. LeBron in the past has always fulfilled his contractual obligation every single time. Every single time LeBron has left it, whether it was the first time he left Cleveland, the second time he left Cleveland, or when he left Miami, he always played out to the end of his contract, reached free agency, and then decided to leave. And that's the right way to do it. That's the right way to do it. That's the right way to do any type of business. Fulfill your contract. Fulfill your word, right? And Kevin Durant used to be the same way. When Kevin Durant left the OKC Thunder and went to Golden State, he fulfilled his contractual obligations. He played there for 9 years. And even though people hated on him, it was his right to do so, right? And when he left the Golden State Warriors, he finished his contractual obligation. But somehow, some way, 3 seasons with Kyrie Irving has rubbed off on Kevin Durant, in which he is very dysfunctional. He doesn't carry himself like he used to, right? And it's not just Kevin Durant. You've seen this in recent years. For example, James Harden. James Harden basically muscled and armstronged his way out of Houston after Houston as an organization gave him everything they could for like 8 years. When James Harden was at Houston, James Harden got every single superstar he wanted. He got whatever kind of coach he wanted. He got whatever kind of offense he wanted. He got Dwight Howard. He got Chris Paul. He got Russell Westbrook. He had it all. When it didn't work out for him, he muscled his way out of Houston, right? Leaving the organization and rebuild. And in recent years, Kyrie Irving has been doing the same thing. Kyrie Irving requested a trade out of Cleveland, right? Kyrie Irving requested a trade out of Brooklyn. it's just not looking good for the NBA. It's looking like their players are not mentally fortified, because every time they reach some sort of hardship along the road, it doesn't matter what their word was, they are going to want to run, and that does not look good for the NBA. And what Kevin Durant is doing right now, requesting a trade with 4 years still left on his contract, is ruining the NBA. He has to fulfill his contractual obligation to the Brooklyn Nets, or it's unfair. It's completely unfair to the organization. It's not only the executives or the GMs that are mad at this trade request. NBA owners are also mad, and they don't like this trade request either. And I've heard that NBA owners want to stick it to NBA players for all the nonsense they've been doing in the last few years or so. And the way that they want to stick it to NBA players is through the CBA negotiations. Now, for you guys who don't know what the CBA negotiations are, it's basically in negotiations between the NBA. The NBA is basically the owners, right? The owners who own the teams. That is what the NBA is. And then the NBA Players Association, the Players Association represents the players. It's like a union, right? So between those two groups, they negotiate the percentage of money that they get from all the TV deals that they license out the NBA to. When a TV deal is up over a number of years, they have to renegotiate the terms of the deals. And the CBA negotiations are coming up here soon. And so what the NBA owners want to do is they want to bring this type of debauchery that the players have been doing over the past few years to the table when it comes to negotiating time. They're going to use Kevin Durant requesting a trade from Brooklyn Nets, basically him not fulfilling his contractual obligations, as a bargaining chip, as leverage. They're going to say, hey, look, why should we give the players this exorbitant amount of money when they don't even fulfill their business obligation? They don't even fulfill their contracts. They don't stay with the teams they sign up for. Why should we do that? And that's a pretty compelling case. Not only that, they're going to also use a lot of the nonsense that Kawhi Leonard and LeBron James have been doing in the past few years, which is flat out just missing games. That's, again, not fulfilling your contractual obligation. You're paid to play basketball. They've been missing games because of load management. Owners are going to say, look, they don't even play half of their games. Kawhi Leonard barely plays 60 games a season. Why should we give them all of that money when they're not doing their job? And that's pretty compelling, right? And this is a classic case of the saying, strong men create good times create weak men. Weak men create bad times create strong men. Why? Because let's look at the players who came before Kevin Durant and LeBron James and Kawhi Leonard. The Kobe Bryant, the Tim Duncan, the Michael Jordan, the Shaquille O'Neal. These guys played out every single game, all 82 games. They played to the end of their contracts. They didn't request trades, and that period of time made it possible for the NBA Players Association to bargain larger amounts of money for the amount of work that the players were doing. That was the time that created the opportunity that Kevin Durant and LeBron James are benefiting off of right now. And they're screwing it up right now for the next generation, right? Because the next generation isn't going to get the same amount of money, because they're going to say, we're not paying you that amount of money because we know what happens when we give you all this amount of money. You guys just don't do your job. You don't fulfill your contracts, so we can't give you that amount of money. So Kevin Durant is ruining the NBA for future generations to come. And that's what I personally mean when I say Kevin Durant is ruining the NBA. He's ruining it for future NBA players. Past NBA players made it possible for him to make the huge amount of money that he's making now, and he's not maintaining that for the next generation. And Adams, what he means when he says that Kevin Durant is ruining the NBA is that Kevin Durant is setting a precedent in which the players have more power than the owners or the NBA executives or NBA teams themselves. So we mean two completely separate things, but I understand where he's coming from, right? And so because of that, players have to collectively get together and look at Kevin Durant and look at each other and say, listen, are we ruining this? Is what we're doing here, is it warranted? Should we continue to do this, right? And they should maybe question if what Kevin Durant is doing is right? Me personally, I just want Kevin Durant in Toronto. But guys, those are just my thoughts. If you watched all the way to the end of this video, thank you. Again, hit the subscribe button, leave a like for the algorithm, and until next time, kids.